Death Stranding is Hideo Kojima's debut video game for his self-titled studio, Kojima Productions. This game has been long awaited by fans and has proven to be one of the most divisive games I have ever seen. I have now completed the game with about 40 hours spent total playtime and have gathered an opinion of my own. Before we dive in, let it be known that this review will contain no spoilers and majority of the gameplay will be from the first few hours of the game. Without further ado, here's my Death Stranding review. The game takes place in the United States after a tragic global event known as the Death Stranding. The Death Stranding is a very unique apocalypse that is completely original and bears its own new threats. First, we have what is called the Timefall, which is a rain that excessively ages whatever it touches. There's demonic ghost entities known as beach things, or BTs for short, and dead corpses that become bombs and cause void outs, which are pretty much huge explosions that leave nothing but ruins in its wake. The Death Stranding pretty much alters the passage of time, as well as the cycle of life and death. Ultimately, the Death Stranding is the reverse of the Big Bang. Its goal is to completely wipe out all life until there's nothing left, just how the Big Bang kickstarted all life from hypothetically nothing. The main protagonist of this game is Sam Porter Bridges, a simple delivery man who gets things from one place to the next, except he's far more than just a guy who delivers. Sam is on a quest to reconnect the entire country from coast to coast with some high tech known as the Child Network. Once connected, his plan is to reach a place called the beach. What he hopes to find at the beach is a woman by the name of Amelie. Amelie is supposed to become the president of the renewed United Cities of America. The story of this game is very complex, and this is only the surface of what's for you to uncover. But even though the story is of complex nature, it's still very engaging with the phenomenal presentation, due to both its cast of characters and beautiful cinematography.
We have no future.
No, America's finished. Bridget, you're the president of jack shit.
Sam, listen to me.
But what makes Death Stranding so polarizing isn't the narrative. It's the fetch quest gameplay loop that about 95% of the game is made up of. Death Stranding's gameplay is focused around traversal and resource management. It's all about plotting your way from point A to point B and gearing yourself accordingly for the journey ahead. For instance, if you have a very weightful order, you may pack a power skeleton or floating carrier to help reduce the strain on Sam. Do you want to carry the least amount of cargo and have a speed build, or load lots of equipment onto your bike and take the chance on having enough power to make it to your destination? There is a plethora of combinations and possibilities, which is great if you do indeed like the core basis of the fetch quest formula. Another thing that surprised me was that I really enjoyed the aesthetic of an empty world and traveling by myself. But even though the world is empty, you can't help but to feel the presence of others. Due to a really cool online mechanic, different structures that players build in the world, such as a bridge or generator, can be left behind for you to stumble across and use as well. It's a very beneficial system, and it's cool to see this lonely world sort of come to life. The gameplay to this game is truly something I've never experienced before, and I didn't think for a second I was even going to enjoy it. But at the same time, there were moments in the game where I found myself thinking that this is a really annoying drag. Running from one location to the next just to be greeted by a hologram NPC that provides a countless amount of pointless dialogue that doesn't drive at all the story forward, it's complete fluff. They're there just to put you on a goose chase. To run from place to place, putting up to such silly tasks that can amount to literally, I kid you not, deliver a pizza. These niggas got me delivering a pizza? This gave me large amounts of fatigue at times, where I found myself growing bored and sometimes sleepy. The game also features some combat, but honestly it's very weak. You get your basic melee attacks, which feel awfully clunky, and they repeat the same 3-hit combo loop with no true variety. So combat isn't really anything impressive, but I mean, it's there. I do see what they are going for though, which is to make your journey feel more engaging with another level of obstacle, but it felt like more of an annoyance than anything else. The game does have some pretty good stealth though. The very tense and frightening feeling of crouch walking through a timefall, not exactly knowing where the BTs are, can drastically shift the vibe of your exploration. But this is where BB comes into play. BB is the fetus in a capsule, and its only function is to pinpoint outline BTs so you can see them. But the trick to this is that you have to be standing still to see the BTs, which also leaves you in complete vulnerability. The BT encounters aren't very hard, but they are enjoyable. They're also sometimes completely unpredictable due to the dynamic weather effects in the game. Though if you have a keen eye and spot a rainbow, you know to avoid the area because it's Timefall Central. The game also has some gunplay, and again, just like the melee combat, it feels very poor. It's very obvious that the main focus of this game was specifically just focused on the character traversal, and that's fine. The gunplay for the most part feels very completely gimmicky and lifeless. But I did find it to work at certain moments that I wouldn't dare spoil here. All in all, Death Stranding is a good game with a phenomenal story, but due to its very niche gameplay, it handicapped its ability to be put in the hands of others. Also, looking from the viewpoint of someone who would like to try the story, it doesn't really get rolling heavy until about 15 to 20 hours in, which is well longer than enough to want to drop the game if you despise it. Especially when that 15 to 20 hours could have given you a complete experience with another game you sure you would have liked. I do think the story in its conclusion is something everyone should experience, but I don't feel like it's something that everyone can experience due to the nature of its gameplay. In conclusion, I give Death Stranding 8 blood bags out of 10. If this review brought you assistance or enjoyment, I'd really appreciate if you could support me by leaving a like on the video and consider subscribing with post notifications on for more high quality in-depth reviews like such. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time with another banger.